Hi everyone, it's Agnes. In today's video, I'm going to embroider a schnauzer. This is a dog design that appears in the cover of my new book called Agnes Animal Embroidery. In the previous video, I embroidered a rabbit with large and floppy ears. It is called a lop-eared rabbit. You can check out if you like that. Today, I'm going to embroider a dog. I'm going to move the camera closer to my hands and show you how to do that. I'm going to embroider Schnauzer. I just copied the page of my book and cut out around the design. Place the dressmaker's carbon under the Schnauzer design. It's like carbon paper. Hold it firmly with left hand. If it's too small for you to hold it, washi tape will be helpful. Hold it with washi tape. It can be held with dressmaker's pins. There's a big difference using washi tape and not. It's quite difficult to hold small paper in place by hands. There are lots of blue vertical lines in my design. It's fine to trace only thick black lines. These blue lines are directional lines to show you which way your stitch is gonna be going. Some people prefer to trace these though. It may be helpful to draw them since it reminds you about the direction of your stitch. It depends on your personal preference. I'm gonna trace the nose in kind of eye blues. Looks like Rampa. Is it transferred? Looks okay. Now it's been transferred. Put it on an embroidery hoop and I'm gonna start stitching. I'm going to put it on an embroidery hoop. This is a ring consisting of two parts. Separate the inner frame from the outer one. You should have a nice drum-tight piece of fabric. Tighten the screw until it's snug. I recommend you to keep this drum tight while you're stitching to avoid buckling. Keep stitching this way. You can work easier to stitch the parts in numeral order written in this book. This is number 1, eyes and nose. So I'm going to start from the eyes and nose. Both of them are black. Take black thread that I already cut into 60 cm. To start your thread, find rather a big area. Take running stitch and go back on this line of your thread. It's anchored. Trim off the excess thread. I use this method instead of tying a knot. You can plait it if you can see this black thread while you're stitching the body. The more you continue stitching, the more thread tangles up and won't come loose. These stitches are really tiny. Sorry about that. Have a directional stitch in the middle, though it's a quite small part. Go upward and downward. Just make it tiny stitches. These tiny wounds are good for eyes. Make the right eye, then the left one. Start stitching from the eyes, though they are important parts. It's better to start from them. It's hard to stitch them later. About 3 stitches are enough for it. Then I'm going to stitch the nose. It also needs about 3 stitches, but I'll make it a bit bigger. That should do it. Weave through the back of the previous stitches. There are not so many stitches to weave though. Manage to do it. Trim off excess thread. Then I'm going to use white thread. I've changed my thread. Oops, I pulled it too much. Weave through the back twice as I did to finish my thread. I made running stitch to secure the thread at the very beginning. You have the previous stitch that you can weave through from the second time. Now there are not so much thread in the back. If it's difficult to weave through, you can make running stitch again. Next, eyebrows. I'm not sure they are eyebrows, though I call them so. Looks like grandpa. They're a bit slammed. It looks as if it's in trouble. Then the opposite side. Make a kind of an eyebrow above the eye. The reason I'm stitching a kind of eyebrows beforehand is that it's quite difficult to stitch them later. You can see the whole part of this. This one overlaps here, so stitch this side first. It'll help you stitch the rest of it easily. Make the side part of the nose and the eyebrows first. I'm going to stitch the face. I've done the eyebrows in the nose. It's already starting to look like a schnauzer. It has a part that is parted in the center. I'm going to divide the area into 2 parts to make it look like more schnauzer. I'm going to come up and go down right next to the previous stitch. Avoid the eyes when you stitch around them. They were buried a bit now. I'm going to tuck the stitches down to the edge of the eyes. It can stand out if you leave a gap. Stitching outside to inside makes it easier to aim the edge. Once you decide the angle of the right side, stick to it. It's no good to add horizontal stitches and so on. Then the opposite side. Here in the hole, you should put your needle in. Stitch outside to inside. You can fill in the gap from whichever you like. It looks good. Next, I'm going to stitch the ears. Let's start stitching the ears. I'm going to come up and go down right next to it. I think it looks better to make them flimsy. The design is a bit big, but it might be better to make them not so big when I compare the size of the face with one of the ears. So stop stitching here. When you trace the design, it can be changed slightly. Adjust the design while you're stitching. I think I've done. Next, I've already done the chest area. I'm going to move on to stitch the body. I've stitched the face diagonally. I'm going to stitch the body horizontally. For being seen, there are different parts. I'm going to work the satin stitch where it's not so long. Fill in the area within about a centimeter from edge to edge. It's a bit long here. I'm going to use long and short stitch. Slightly turn the frame to stitch easier. Basically, alternating between long and short. But strictly, it's okay to make a short stitch and a short one. The point is, making a zigzag line on the place where stitches overlap. The schnauzers pose are a little bit whitish. I'm going to work long and short stitch here to make it look fluffy. There's a zigzag line in the design. It's much easier to fill ahead roughly the zigzag area. Work the needle aiming at every apex of the zigzag line and the line of the back. Come up from the apex here and go dive in on the line of the back. Make the first row with gray thread and the second row with white one. It'll get much easier afterward if you fill in here roughly. So I'm gonna stitch in this way. I'm going to change my thread. I've done the whole body part with long and short stitch. Let's move on to the pose. I'm stitching here in a zigzag way on purpose. Don't take your needle into the same hole with the previous stitch. It looks better to take your needle into the place that overlaps the gray area slightly. As for the hind legs, though I'm not much doing so to avoid making it too white. Take your thread into the gray area roughly. But take it up to the top slightly. Be brave and try to make long stitches and short ones. If you're stitching gingerly, the length of your stitches will be equal and it won't look nice. Make long stitches and short ones more than you thought. It'll look better in the end. The zigzag stitch length and wedges will make it look like dog's fur very much. Try to make your stitch longer than you expected. It'll turn out to be good in the end. Continue stitching this way. Though I've not done yet, make kind of a boundary between the pose and the hind legs.
入れておくと境目ができる。
It's not a big deal,
ちょっとそういう
but it
のを
looks just like a dog by doing so.
あげるとそれっぽくなります。はい、ではもうこれで
It's almost completed.
もうそろそろできます。こんな感じです。
I think I've done.
かわいい。
Looks nice.
以上です。
That's it for today.
いかがでしたか？
Hope you enjoyed this video,
受け付けて
and thank you very much for watching.
お願いします。それではさようなら。
Goodbye.